기수 진짜
Oh my
대단해.
You're
Amazing.
amazing! 우리 Vatican's the whole vacation.
Oh,
Everyone's
vacation
gonna
gone.
be all here.
We're going to Jeongju Airport. How do you say that?
정주 공항.
Jeongju 공항. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hangzhou.
Wait,
in-
우리
yes.
중국에서 한주 가요.
Yeah, in China. Yeah.
배너 여행.
안녕. Today I want to cover Fabricated City. Okay, this is a Korean film from 2017 and it is so good. I mean, everybody has their own tastes, but I think I have pretty good taste. And let me tell you, this movie, I remember watching it back in the day for the first time and it was just like, I was in awe, okay? I was in awe. So back then, the title alone, Fabricated City, super unique sounding, never heard that before. It drew me in, and it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint at all. This is a crime, mystery, action thriller, and it is exactly that. So if that's your tastes, then you'll probably like this movie, because I did. I really like criminal underworld type films and shows and stuff like that. So let's do a little bit of synopsis so we know what we're walking into. So Kwon Yoo is a gamer. Okay, he's an unemployed gamer that spends his days at the internet cafe, eating cup ramen and being very involved in his game. Now, this is mainly because in the game he's a somebody. He's a great leader and, you know, he's known and praised, whereas in the real world that is not the case. Now, his life changes in the blink of an eye when he is framed for murder. That being said, him and his gaming squad, okay, his online friends, they work hard to uncover the truth about who framed him. But instead, they find something much more sinister. So that's a little synopsis as to what we will be getting into. Now let's actually get into it because I'm really excited. Content warning. So this movie contains, you know, very mature themes of violence and essay. I do censor things as much as I can while still trying to tell the story properly, but if that is not something that you can handle right now, take care of yourself and maybe just skip this one and maybe go watch one of my other videos. Thank you. Okay, on to the recap. We open on a war in the city. Things are intense. There's explosions, there's gunfire, there's chaos going on, okay? Our team is in a helicopter with our fearless leader, Kwon Yoo, leading them. You know, they have to jump out of the helicopter. It's a whole thing. His team is trying to defuse a bomb before it goes off with very limited time. And he's holding off the enemies alone. He's standing strong though, you know what I mean? He's aiming, he's shooting as they're inside the building. Things are heated. And they're also wearing very inappropriate military gear. And you're like, oh, they're in a video game. Because then you see like their health card thingies pop up and you're like, oh, makes sense. Anyway, so inside the game, right, Kwon Yoo, he's helping out his team. He's holding back the enemies as his team is trying to defuse the bomb. And they're closing in. The enemies are closing in tight. You know, he's trying to hold them off. And then at the last second, his team defuses the bomb. But it is too late for our fearless leader, Kwon Yoo, and he is shot. And now we're in the PC방, and, you know, he's annoyed. He takes off his headphones like, ah, because he just got killed in the game. Then he gets a call on his phone. He answers it. It's his mother. Now, we see his mom working as a nurse in a hospital, and she's talking to him, and he's like, what do you want? Being very rude and short with her. And she's like, where are you? Are you at the PC방 again? Like, seriously? And she's like, I think I left the stove on. I need you to, like, go home and turn it off. And he's like, you called me for that? Really? And she's like, it's dangerous. Like, it could explode or something, you know? And he's just like, oh, he rolls his eyes, he's annoyed. He's being very short with her, very rude. Okay. And she's, you know, she's very kind. She stays consistently sweet on the phone. Anyway, he hangs up with her, and the patient that she's giving a sponge bath to or whatever points at her necklace. And she's like, oh, do you like my necklace? My son gave it to me, and it's like this natural pearl necklace. And she seems very proud to say that the necklace is from her son. Now, Kwon Yoo does not go home like he should to turn off the stove. He sits and continues to play video games for hours until he is interrupted by somebody's cell phone that's ringing beside him, and he's just like, what the heck? So he picks it up annoyed, right? Because he's trying to focus on his game, and he's like, hello? And the girl's like, oh my gosh, thank you for picking up the phone. She's like, I left my phone there like a few hours ago. Could you by chance bring it to me? And he's like, lady, are you serious? And she's like, I'll give you 300,000 won if you do. And he's just like, okay, where do you need me to drop it off? Obviously he needs money, right? As we established, he doesn't have a job right now. So he, you know, she gives him the address, and he shows up at this hotel. It's kind of like this upscale looking hotel. Well, at least on the inside. And he goes up to a penthouse suite. And when he gets to the door, it's like open just a crack. And he's kind of like, that's weird. So he rings like the doorbell that's on the outside with no answer. So he kind of opens the door and sort of walks in, and he's kind of like, hello? Like, anybody here? You know, that very awkward, like, Tokyo. It's just super. Anyway, he ends up walking in, and he hears like the shower. And as he turns the corner, the wall is like mosaic glass, and it shows into the bathroom. And so he can see like the silhouette of a woman showering, and he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, hi, I'm like here to drop off a phone. And she's like, oh, great, you're here. This woman does not sound worried, scared, or anything, even though there is a complete stranger in her, you know, in her hotel room, and it doesn't seem like anybody else is there. It's just her. While she's in a very vulnerable situation. Regardless, she's like, oh yeah, thank you. You can just like leave it on the bedside table or whatever and go. And he's like, yeah, but you said you paid me. And she's like, yeah, the money's on the bed. And so he's kind of like, okay. Whole situation, he's like, that's weird. So he goes upstairs, because there's like 2 levels to penthouse. He goes upstairs, sees the money, leaves the phone. But just as he's about to leave, he's kind of like, oh, I should say something. So he stops and he's like, hey, you know, it's kind of dangerous to just leave your door unlocked and open when you're showering by yourself, you know, like, be careful. She doesn't say anything, and then he just leaves. It's the next morning, and we're in Kwon Yoo's bedroom, and we're kind of like, the camera's panning around, and you see photos of him doing taekwondo when he's younger, and you see, you know, video games all over the floor, bottles of soju everywhere, and like half-eaten, I don't know, jjajangmyeon or something. And he is asleep on the couch, and he's sleeping soundly as the sunlight is coming through the windows, and then he hears like a slight sound that sort of starts to wake him up, and then immediate chaos. The SWAT team busts down his door, and he's like, what the heck? And he's getting pinned on the floor. You know, there's all these people on his back. He's confused. He's literally just woke up. He doesn't know what's happening. And they're saying that he's getting arrested for the rape and murder of a minor. He looks over and he sees a bloody knife on the floor, and he is confused. Everything is fast-paced now, okay? He's arrested, he's taken to the police station, he's in interrogation. They're like, we have a lot of evidence against you. We have CCTV footage, we have your bodily fluids at the crime scene, we have your fingerprints on the murder weapon and the door handle of the hotel room. And he's sitting there like, what are you talking about? He's like in shock. He's still in shock. He can't even get a word in as, you know, he's being interrogated. Then we jump to the news reports, okay? They're reporting that a former national athlete on the Taekwondo team, okay, Kwon Yoo, is, you know, being arrested for the rape and murder of a minor. And people all around Seoul are watching the news and they are disgusted. They are like, this guy needs to be prosecuted at the highest degree. He needs to be sent to jail. He needs every kind of bad thing that could possibly happen done to him. Then we jump back to the police station where his mom has just arrived. She's frantic, she's upset, she's crying, she wants to see her son, but they won't let her because he's in interrogation. So she ends up going to see a lawyer on the recommendation of the police officers at the station, and she's begging, she's pleading with this lawyer. And that lawyer is Min Chung-sung. I'm just gonna be calling him Min by his last name, okay? Lawyer Min. That's what we'll be calling him. Just because I think some of like the characters' names are a little similar. We just don't want to get confused, okay? So she goes to see this lawyer and she's like, look, my son is innocent. I know it looks bad, but I swear he would never do something so horrendous. He would never do something like this. And Min is kind of just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll get back to you kind of thing. I'll take a look at things, yada yada. But to be honest, with the evidence so stacked against Kwon Yoo, it's not looking like a winning case, that's for sure. Now we're in court, and we see that Min is Kwon Yoo's lawyer, thankfully, because apparently he's a good lawyer. And the prosecution is going in. They're like, look, this guy definitely did it. We have him on CCTV footage, we have his fingerprints on the door handle of the hotel room, we have his fingerprints on the murder weapon, which was found in his house. We have his DNA on the body. Like, come on now, let's be real. Clearly what happened was, he went in there, he went into the hotel room, he raped this girl, and then he dragged her body after killing her to the bathroom to try and wash off any evidence. Which obviously didn't work if they found his DNA. The whole time, Kwon Yoo is sitting there, jaw on the floor, confused, looking at his mom, who's sitting in the crowd, and he's just like, this is insane. Like, I didn't do any of this. This can't be happening. That's the look on his face. The look on his face is truly, this cannot be happening. The prosecution goes on to say that they think because he is a gamer and he's addicted to games, that the lines between reality and the gaming world have blurred, which is why he probably committed this crime. Now Kwon Yoo, with all that evidence stacked against him, and he has no real alibi, the judge makes his ruling. And he finds him guilty on all charges. He finds him guilty for the rape and murder of a minor. And he is sentenced to life in prison. After his verdict, Kwon Yoo is sent to a maximum security prison that looks like it is built into the side of a mountain, which is really intense. Word of his arrival and the crime that he committed has spread through the prison, and you know what they say about prisons and the people in them that have committed particular crimes against minors, and if it's rape and stuff, like other prisoners in there have children, daughters, wives, and so they don't appreciate the people that commit those kind of crimes. Even if they're murderers themselves, they're like, yeah, but I wouldn't do that. And so usually you get beat up in prison if that's the case, that kind of thing. And that's pretty much what happens to Kwon Yoo. A gang in particular, run by the gang leader 𝙤𝙩𝙩. Okay, that's what we're gonna call him. That's like part of his name. So 𝙤𝙩𝙩 is the leader of this gang, and you know, he zeroes in on Kwon Yoo pretty quickly. And he doesn't like him. He doesn't like him especially because he won't admit to the crime that he committed. And 𝙤𝙩𝙩 can't make him his underling, like he just kind of refuses, and he doesn't like that. So he consistently beats up Kwon Yoo like every day, and the guards just turn a blind eye. Clearly 𝙤𝙩𝙩 has some pull within the prison. Also, again, the guards know of the crime that Kwon Yoo committed, so they're probably also just like, hey man, you deserve it. That being said, after consistently getting beat up and stuff and just, you know, having no hope, because like, he's in prison for life, because the crime he committed, there's probably no chance for him to even get parole, and, you know, he feels hopeless, so he does try to end it all for himself at one point, but is stopped by the guards. Now, his mom gets to come and visit him for the first time, and she goes there with the lawyer, and she sees that he is completely defeated. But she hasn't given up on him, you know? She knows her son, she's like, look, I need you to not give up on yourself because I'm not giving up on you. And, you know, if you truly didn't commit these crimes, then you need to fight, because I'm fighting still. She's like, I don't want to be the mother of a rapist. And that finally, like, wakes him up. That strikes something in him. So now he's not going down so easy, and he starts fighting back whenever 𝙑𝙑 and his gang, you know, come and beat him up. He starts fighting back. I mean, he was on the national team for Taekwondo, so, like, he has the skills, you know what I mean? So he knows what he's doing. And we finally get to see him execute those skills. I don't know why he wasn't before, because, you know, these guys are all just, they're all just thugs. Like, they don't have actual technical skills when it comes to fighting, but he does. As hard as he's fighting back, his lawyer comes to visit him one day, and, you know, he seems a little bit more upbeat. He doesn't seem like a complete zombie like last time, and he's like, hey, where's my mom? Like, you didn't bring her this time? Like, what's going on? And the lawyer unfortunately tells him his mom has passed away. Not only has she passed away, but he was unable to go to her funeral because his lawyer could not get him parole for the day to attend. So he couldn't even say goodbye to his mom. Now that night, he ends up going to sleep and having a dream about his mom, where she's there with him and he gets to hug her one last time and kind of say his goodbyes. So, you know, depending on how spiritual or not you are, you could see that as a dream or something else. And now he's even more determined to clear his name because his mom was determined and she never gave up on him. So now he's not going to give up either. That being said, 𝙑𝙑 is on edge, okay? Ever since Kwon Yoo started fighting back, he didn't like that, you know? He was starting to lose his pull with the other prisoners, you know? He doesn't seem as scary when he's getting beat up by some kid that just got here. And he doesn't like that. So, him and his gang stage a coup in the middle of the yard, okay? So chaos ensues, alright? His gang members are beating up guards, the prisoners start fighting, the guards are fighting. The guards that are like around the gate perimeter line, they throw in smoke bombs. It's wild. Like, you can't focus on one thing. And 𝙑𝙑's plan is literally to stab Kwon Yoo amongst the chaos. And because the guards are all kind of spread out and stuff, they might not see what's happening. And so as 𝙑𝙑's walking up behind Kwon Yoo to literally stab him in the back, Kwon Yoo has plans of his own, okay? He knows what's going on. And this is all part of his plan as well. And as 𝙑𝙑 is about to stab him, Kwon Yoo turns around and slashes his face. Now, the main prison guard sees this from a distance and starts running towards them. And as he is, Kwon Yoo takes the shank and stabs himself in the abdomen. So now the two are getting rushed to the hospital, which is gonna take a while because they're like in the middle of the nowhere in a mountain. Anyway, but as Kwon Yoo is laying there in the ambulance, we get a flashback. So there is another prisoner, this old man that kind of looks adorable, to be honest, and he was apparently a serial killer, so you know his ass was in there for life. And no one ever bothers him. Like, he has the respect of seemingly everybody at the prison. It's kind of like he's the scariest one there, even though he's like this, you know, this little 𝙑𝙑. Like, he's kind of adorable. And he just has like this little garden in the yard that he likes to take care of, and that's that. But even 𝙑𝙑 and his gang respect this man. which is important because this man starts to sit next to Kwon Yoo during lunch. You know, during their meals, he'll sit next to him and he starts talking to him a little bit. And he tells Kwon Yoo that he doesn't believe that he's a killer. He doesn't believe the things that they say about him because he knows killers. He is a killer. And Kwon Yoo is not. That being said, he's like, look, if you want to get out of here, kid, there's only one way to do that. And so he tells him that if he stabs himself in the abdomen, he will be able to leave the prison because his injuries would be too severe to treat at the prison. They would have to take them to a hospital. But if he stabs himself just a little too far to the left or right, he could hit like vital organs or something, and you know, that could be fatal. So he has to hit himself just in the right spot where he won't die or bleed out and won't actually need professional medical care. You know what I'm saying? Because he's trying to escape prison. And he takes that advice to heart, and that's exactly what he does. Back in the ambulance, chaos ensues. Kwon Yoo gets up, he punches the guards in the face that are in the back, and then he uses the one guy's head to like smash open the like glass box that's holding these needles that I assume are, I don't know, like adrenaline or something. I have no clue what they are. Anyway, and then he threatens the other guy that's in the passenger seat to give him the keys to unlock his handcuffs. And the guy who's driving kind of takes the opportunity to sort of like swerve to try and, you know, shake him off his feet or whatever, giving the other guard time to shoot him. But that does not happen. And instead the car flips over and tumbles and it's a whole thing. But Kwon Yoo manages to get the keys because everybody's knocked out except for him. He manages to get the keys, unlock himself, and run away. He runs through the forest and the mountainside, and then he finally comes across like somebody's house or whatever, and they have like clothes on the line, so he takes those, changes out of his prison outfit, and then he finally comes across this couple, okay? This foreign couple who's in this like crusty little car, and they're having car problems, and they're in like the countryside, right? And so he manages to help them out fix their car, so they're very grateful, and they're like, oh my god, this is great. They're like, we're going on vacation to China, so like, you know, we really need to get to the airport, which is good for him because, you know, they're giving him a ride, and they get to a police checkpoint because word has got out that, you know, he escaped, so obviously they're looking for him. And because this foreign couple is, you know, they don't really know Korean that well, and like the police officer that's trying to check in their car is like, okay, this is too much for me, just go. He just waves them through, you know what I mean? Because it's like, they're a foreign couple, they're clearly going somewhere, why would they have a fugitive? So he gets away, and they're at the airport, and the couple is like, well, we're not going to need this car, so you can have it, and so now he has a car. That's great. So because news has spread that Kwon Yoo has escaped, everybody's on high alert, which is not good for him because he has to go into the city. And the first person he goes to is Min, his lawyer, of course. Because before, you know, when he was still in prison, his mom kind of said that they were working on finding an alibi for him and like whatever. And so he goes to his lawyer and he's like, hey, like, you know, I escaped from jail, that alibi would come in handy right about now. And his lawyer's just like, first of all, shocked to see him, and is like, yeah, there's no alibi for you. I don't know where you got that idea from. He's like, there is no alibi. There's no such thing. And he's like, what? Because like, that's kind of like what he was banking on here, you know? He's been in jail for the past couple months, I guess, and he thought somebody was out here on the outside helping him. And Min basically just tells him, look, it would probably be best to just turn yourself in. Like, it would be for the best. And he's like, I'm sorry about your mom. I'm sorry you didn't get to say goodbye to her. Here's her pearl necklace that he gave to his mom once upon a time. And then he calls the police. Which, like, yeah, I guess. Like, you wouldn't just not call the police. But anyway, he gets away like through the window before the police even show up. And the next place he goes is the PC방, alright? He goes to the PC방, he sits down, and he's trying to like log into his accounts and like, you know what I mean? Like, try and see what's going on, like what is out there, what information is out there about him. And then just as he's about to leave, because he thinks that like one of the staff has noticed him, because his face is plastered all over the news, he kind of stops when he sees his computer like turn on and it's playing a recap video of his case. And so he sits down and puts on the headphones, and that is when he gets to learn everything about his case that got him put in jail. So the video shows this CCTV footage, and it shows him leaving the PC방 to go to the hotel. Once he's at the hotel, black box footage from a car shows him going into the elevator, and then of course the CCTV footage in the elevator of him going up to the floor. And then we see him leaving past the black box footage, and the black box footage says that he was in there for 3 hours. 3 hours. Other evidence that police found was interactions with him through social media. So he was interacting with this girl on social media, and they have more CCTV footage of him meeting this girl at a club in Hongdae. And this CCTV footage, because it's inside of a club, it's kind of dark and grainy, so like you can't really see if it's him or not. It's kind of like, it's probably him, you know what I mean? And then the next day, after they met at that club, she was murdered. So he's sitting there in awe, like, what is this? And then suddenly, in the headphones, because he's, he has headphones on listening to the footage and stuff, through his headphones he hears a familiar voice of one of his online gamer friends, and that voice is like, you need to get out of there now, like it's not safe, it's not safe. And I guess the friend tells him to like go to a nearby restaurant, cafe place, because the staff there are about to call the police on him because they recognize him. So he goes to this nearby cafe or restaurant or whatever, and he's sitting waiting for his gamer friend, who he's never met before, but he assumes he's waiting for a man. Until this girl slides in the booth next to him, or in front of him, and he's like startled because he's like, who the heck are you? And then he gets a call on his phone from his gamer friend, and he's like, hey, like there's some girl sitting in front of me, I don't know what's going on. And she's then talking to him through the phone, and she's like, it's me. And he's like, huh? And he's like, what do you mean it's you? And she's like, I'm sitting in front of you. And he looks at her like, oh. So this girl is Yeol, alright? We don't learn her name until much later in the movie, but I'm saying it now because I need to refer to her. So, yeah, Yeol. And she looks like a really cool, like, kind of gothic cyber chick. Like, her bangs, it's very much giving Scene Kid in, like, the 2000s, if you know what I'm talking about. Her bangs, like, cover most of her face. Like, you only ever see, like, this much of her face throughout, like, the whole movie. But she's, like, some cool hacker chick, and she's gonna help him out. So she was the one who hacked into the computer to show him the video, and then told him to get out of the PC방 before the cops arrived. So now they're in the car, and she's taking him back to her place. And it seems like she lives on, like, the outskirts of the city. It almost looks like an abandoned-ish area or something. And her house is a introvert's paradise, alright? Like, I would live there. If there was, like, a little bit more sunlight, I would live there. She has this ridiculously cool setup of, like, a whole bunch of monitors, and she doesn't seem like she ever needs to, like, leave the house. Which, like, I love that, because I don't like leaving the house myself. So she takes him back there, she, lets him shower, gives him some clean clothes, she feeds him, and as they're eating, it kind of, like, sets in for him, because obviously he hasn't eaten in days, because he's been on the run through a forest. He hasn't eaten in days, and it's, this is the first time he's feeling safe, you know what I'm saying? Because she's like, no one's gonna find you here, it's safe completely. And so he kind of starts tearing up, right? Reality's setting in. His mom is gone. Nobody's, really gonna be able to help him. His lawyer's given up on him, kind of thing. And then the doorbell rings. And he's startled. He's ready to fight. He's ready to square up with whoever's at that door, because she's not saying anything. Although she seems very calm, cool, and collected. And she answers the door, and in walks these 3 guys. Okay? This older man, like this ajashi, he's adorable. this guy that looks like an idiot already, and then some other nerd. Okay. And this is his gaming squad. They are quite the odd bunch. They really are. They are a ragtag team if I've ever seen one. So we have Yongdosa, who's like a nerd, and I don't know if he's also a hacker, but he's definitely very techie. You know what I'm saying? Then we have the Demolitioner, who is the resident idiot, because there always has to be one idiot in the group, of course. And then, this is my favorite, the Space Beauty. And that is the little ajashi who is just adorable. And he is Yongdosa's father. So, they're like a father-son duo. And this is the ragtag team that is going to help him. Our hero squad wastes no time. Well, they eat dinner first, okay. But after that, after they eat dinner, they waste no time. And our girl Yewoo, alright, she gets on her many computers and she starts pulling up cases that are similar to Kwon Yoo's, where evidence was found extremely quickly and easily, and the assailants, the alleged assailants, were arrested no longer or no more than 24 hours after committing the crime. And so she's pulling up CCTV footage, and they notice that the footage looks weird. It's almost like there's another CCTV footage overlaid over top of the original so that the timestamp is changed. Also, they start noticing in all of these footages that are related to these other cases, there is the same white truck in all of the footage. She traces back the white truck to this like car junkyard, and so the Demolitioner, who I will continue to call Demo for short, and Kwon Yoo, they go to this junkyard, right? And they're looking around, and then they see it. They see the white truck, and they're like, there it is. But they also see these two men in black that are driving a very nice car. And this crusty junkyard and men in very nice black suits do not go together. They find it suspicious. And the men are leaving, so Kwon Yoo is like, you stay here, I'm gonna go follow them. And he does. He follows them back to this very like nice, kind of like maybe a vacation home outside of the city sort of vibe. And he follows them and he sees them taking like this huge instrument case. I'm not good with instruments, but I don't know. Cellos are pretty big. It's probably like a cello case or something. And they're taking it out of this house. And so he's gonna go follow them to like see where they're going with it and stuff. But he can't, right? Because he's about to get caught as this truck pulls up, a different truck. This truck pulls up and it's a cleaning crew that gets out. And he's like, what the heck? So he hides and he watches and he finally gets a peek into the window. And as he looks through this window, he is in shock. All he sees is red. There is blood all over the interior of this white house. He watches as the cleaning crew go in and they take very thorough pictures of everything before they start cleaning. And so at first you're kind of like, is this like a forensics team or something? Because that would make sense, I guess, right? But it doesn't seem like they're very official in that way. So they take pictures of everything and then they start cleaning. And when I say cleaning, I mean they are cleaning. They clean the blood off of everything. They take all the bloody white furniture out, the carpet, everything, and they replace it all with exact replicas. And when they're finished cleaning, they spray something, I think it's like luminol or whatever, to like see that they got all of the blood. And as Kwon Yoo is just looking through the window in horror as he's watching this all go down, he gets a call from Demo, and Demo's like, hey, the men in black, they're back at the, junkyard, and they have some instrument case and they're loading it into the white truck. And Kwon Yoo is like, okay, well, I can't get there right now, you need to follow them. And so Demo, I guess, finds this little haloboji who has, I don't even know what it is, like a scooter thingy. I'm not sure what it is. It's something that looks like it only exists in the countryside, but he gets this 할아버지 to give him a ride and follow this white truck. And so Demo follows it all the way to this very bougie, upscale apartment building. Now, because it's a high security apartment building, it's not going to be easy for our team to get in. Actually, it is kind of easy for them to get in. They just pretend to be like maintenance people or whatever, and they literally just walk into the security room, do some like techie stuff so that our girl 𝙘𝙢 can hack into the security system and be hooked up to the CCTV footage so that she can control whether they're on or off and that kind of thing. That way, when Kwon Yoo goes in, he won't be seen on any footage because he's still a fugitive. So Kwon Yoo gets into the apartment and he goes into the apartment building. Everything's smooth sailing. He gets into the apartment unit and he's looking around and he sees this huge photo of some guy, and he's just like, who is that? And our team on the other end, they're looking through the screen and they're like, oh, you know, that's that famous actor dude that like all the girls are obsessed with. You know, he's in those dramas or whatever. And he's like, okay. And then he sees the instrument case like in the corner. And then our team is like holding their breath as Kwon Yoo goes and opens the case, and inside is the body of the actor in the photo. Now, our team doesn't even have a moment to take it all in as to what they're seeing. Like, there's a dead body in this instrument case. And 𝙘𝙢 is like, oh my gosh, someone's coming, like, Kwon Yoo, you have to hide. So he hides, and this crew walks in. Now, they're not a cleaning crew, but they seem official in other ways. And they start setting up some kind of like tank in the middle of the room, like a fish tank or something. And then other team members are like putting up photos of like some girl and the actor. They're putting candles, roses, rose petals everywhere. It seems like they're adding DNA samples, like hair strands. And then there's a knock at the door, and the whole team kind of freezes for a second. And then the one woman, she gets up from what she was doing, answers the door, and it's some guy in like a motorcycle outfit. He hands her a box, she takes it, and in the box are gloves. These blue gloves, and she puts them on and she starts touching things very strategically, holding a glass, putting, you know, fingerprints on the picture frames. So she's adding these fingerprints that are on the glove to very particular areas of the apartment. Then we watch as these two guys in like marshmallow suits start filling up this tank with like some kind of clear gel. And it seems like everybody has finished doing their job. And so they pack up and leave. So once it's safe, Kwon Yoo comes out and the camera pulls back and we see that the body of the actor is inside of the tank, floating in the gel. Kwon Yoo and our hero squad are just in awe at what they are seeing right now, because it truly is a creepy setup, you know? It's giving stalker vibes with the amount of photos, the candles, the rose petals everywhere. It's very creepy. But as Kwon Yoo is trying to take it all in, he doesn't know that he's being watched. He's being watched through a tiny little camera above the TV. And the person watching him is none other than lawyer Min. We finally get an explanation to what is really going on here. We get sucked through the tiny camera that Min is watching Kwon Yoo through, and we are in a futuristic looking room. Every single wall is a screen, even the floor. And that room is a secret room in Min's office building. This old office building has a futuristic secret room in it where he runs his shady business. And this shady business that he's running frames innocent people for the crimes of the elite. The elite and wealthy that can pay for such a service. Min's services provide the cleanup, the framing, and the setup of these innocent people so that these rich people don't have to go to jail for their crimes. Yeah. This is a sophisticated operation where the people that are working for Min, they would be at risk themselves of being framed if they didn't comply with his orders. You know what I'm saying? But with this current framing, we get to see how everything really works. So Min's crew pulls up in front of some woman's apartment building and drop off drinks that I guess she ordered, but they are laced with something to knock her out. Once she is knocked out, the crew goes in and they start collecting her samples. That means hair, that means feminine hygiene products, like out of her garbage can, and any other random bits of DNA that they can get. And they scan her fingerprints. Once they scan the fingerprints, they send those to some guy in a lab that then like 3D prints them onto gloves. Okay, onto gloves, which is what we see that woman, like when they're setting up everything in the actor's apartment, we see her strategically placing fingerprints with those gloves. That's what it is. And that is how they frame people for these crimes, with like irrefutable evidence. You know what I'm saying? Because it literally is their DNA. So our hero squad, okay, they are like, we have to save that woman. Like, we can't let her be framed. Like, we know who she is. We know what's going on. So they start monitoring her calls, okay? And as Kwon Yoo is sitting there for hours just listening to random calls, he finally hears one. And he recognizes the woman's voice. It's the voice of the woman that called him when he was at the PC방 to be like, hey, I left my phone there. Can you, like, bring it to me or whatever? It's the same woman's voice. And so Yewol jumps on quickly and she traces the number back to a call center. So this woman works at a call center. So now they have her location. So Kwon Yoo, I don't know why Kwon Yoo does this, but Kwon Yoo, he goes to, you know, her location and he's following her, right? He's thinking maybe she'll lead him somewhere or whatever. And just as he's there following her, like getting this close, some guy in a motorcycle pulls up and she jumps on the back and they ride off. And it kind of creates a bit of commotion. So everybody, it's like the middle of the day, right? And everybody's like, hey, it's that fugitive guy over there. Like, you know, call the police. Hello, ring, ring. It's the fugitive guy. He's like in the middle of the city right now. And so he jumps in his car and he's driving off, right? And now there's cops chasing him. And he's in like, you know, this crusty little like Beetle car. It doesn't go very fast. And luckily, but not so luckily, he gets saved from the cops by Man-dong's gang. Ma-dong is out of prison. Him and his gang. How did he get out of prison, you may ask? Well, we will get there. So he gets kidnapped by the gang, alright? He's saved from the cops, but he gets kidnapped by the gang. He's in some kind of warehouse or whatever. And Ma-dong is mad because he has a gnarly scar on his face from where he was slashed. Anyway. And so he wants revenge. You know what I'm saying? He wants revenge for all the times that he hurt him. Pathetic. Anywho. But our girl Yewol, she's on the case. She's got it. She, you know, the SWAT team shows up because he's a fugitive, right? And he was just kidnapped by a gang. So the SWAT team shows up to this location. And Yewol kind of puts in a call as if she's the one who's being held hostage so that they'll go in and, like, basically Kwon Yoo gets away. Alright, our girl saves him. And so they're driving in the car, and then the gang, Ma-dong, shows up and he's driving right next to him. And Yewol is just like, how do they keep finding us? And she's like, you must have a tracker on you. So she kind of like has some kind of scanner thingy and she like, like, you know, like TSA, you know, just, and she hears a beeping sound. So the tracker is in his pocket and it is embedded in the pearl necklace that he's been carrying around of his mother's. The pearl necklace that lawyer Min had given back to him. Min put the tracker in there, so he's known his location the whole time. This is not good. But that is also when it finally clicks for our heroes that Min is the big bad. Now that they know who the big bad is, alright, aka Min, our heroes are like, alright, we gotta create a plan. Like, we gotta feel this out. We have to see what our next move is gonna be. So they have our techie boy build a drone that can hear audio, like record audio through a window, a glass window, as well as scan the side of a building to see the, structural interior. I'm not very techie, so I don't know how he does this or if this is even possible, but it happens. And so they fly the drone to Min's, old brick office building, and they scan it, and like they kind of get confirmation of everything that they thought, that it is definitely Min behind this. And they see through the scan that there's like this big like techie box, as I'll call it. Basically like a huge power center, you know what I'm saying? Which is obviously his lair that we've seen that is filled with the TV screens and all. And so they're like, that is where all the answers are. Obviously. Now that our hero team knows a little bit more about what they're dealing with, they decide that they need to draw out Min. They need to provoke him. How are they going to do that? Well, they'll do that in phases. Phase 1. They go back to the actor's house where the whole setup is that they're going to try and frame the woman with, and they destroy everything. They add photos of Min all over the place, they write his name everywhere, and Min is in there with his secretary who is pissed. She's like, all this work for nothing, they ruined everything, like this is ridiculous. And Min is just giggling. He thinks it's cute. He's like, oh, it's cute. They think they're winning. He's like, this is not a big deal. He's like, we'll just have the crew clean all this up and we'll relocate everything. Now, as easy as that sounds, his client is pissed off. His client is like, this is taking too long, because remember, usually this is done within a 24-hour period. And now it's going beyond 24 hours, you know what I'm saying? And so he's like, this is getting ridiculous. Phase 2. Our heroes use their newly made drone thingy and drop a bomb on top of the van that has like all the evidence stuff in it that they would be using to frame that woman, and they blow it up. Easy peasy. Phase 3, they destroy the lab that makes the fingerprint glove things. Easy as pie. Even though our hero squad feels like they have interrupted Min's plan of framing that woman, they might have been just a little bit too late, because Min still seems very confident that his plan will go without a hitch. Is that the saying? I don't think so. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we watch as the police and the press show up outside of a hotel building where the actor's body has been found. We get a glimpse inside the hotel room, and it is just as creepy, if not creepier and eerier, that's not a word, whatever, as the original setup. The actor's still in that glass tank thing floating in gel. There's candles lit everywhere, rose petals. It almost seems like a romantic scene. And the cops are standing there in the hotel room, jaws on the floor at what they are looking at. And the press somehow break through the barrier, and they go up to the hotel room, and they see that 𝙘𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙧, or Chedi, is sleeping in the bed soundly as her boyfriend's body is floating in gel. And there's no denying that she was the one who committed this crime. Min and his secretary are watching the news, and they are in awe. He's like, what just what just happened? He's confused because his plan was going perfectly fine. He was gonna frame that woman like they had always planned, and things were going smoothly. So what went wrong? So we see that our team seems to have got to Min's plan first. All the DNA that his team added to the room was 𝙑𝙤's DNA. And then we see that they actually went to the hospital where 𝙑𝙤 was staying, okay, and we see that they drug her and kidnap her from the hospital and dump her into the hotel room after the crew has left thinking that they completed the job as planned. So I think when they blew up the evidence car and destroyed the glove lab, I think they did that after they interacted their plan of making sure 𝙑𝙤 is absolutely the one who is getting convicted of this crime. And so Min and his secretary are back in his office watching the news, very much confused. He was thinking his plan was going smoothly up until this point, so he doesn't know what happened. He's like, wait, like the crew, they did everything right, so what is going on? He underestimated our heroes. So obviously the cops arrest 𝙑𝙤 for this murder, which leaves Min getting a call from 𝙑𝙤's father, who is his client, who paid for the service, and he's pissed. He's like, why is my daughter being arrested? Like, what is wrong with you? Is this the service that we paid for? And Min just hangs up because he's like, I can't deal with this right now. Then Min gets another call from Kwon Yoo, who is kind of rubbing it in his face that they kind of outsmarted him. And clearly Min does not like to be outsmarted. He's used to being the smartest person in the room, if anything. And so he's angry. He's very angry. And he starts having a temper tantrum on the phone, really. But then he realizes that Kwon Yoo had hung up on him, and he's like, oh, this arrogant brat. And he looks back over at his secretary, who was sitting at her desk. And she's passed out all of a sudden. He's like, oh no, somebody's in the office with them. So he quickly like pulls the secret lever that opens up to his lair, and he's running down the hallway into his lair, and he is met with a fist to the face. Okay, and Kwon Yoo is right behind him, and he beats him up. Okay, he's throwing him around, beating him up for all of this nonsense that he put him through and other people through, innocent people. After Kwon Yoo beats up Min, he looks at CCTV footage on the computers of his mom never giving up on him, standing in the rain with a sign saying that my son is innocent, and it breaks his heart, you know, because she truly never gave up. And Min takes this as the perfect opportunity to provoke him more. And he's like, look man, I didn't mean for your mom to die or anything, but like things happen. So obviously Min is about to go beat the shit out of him again, but then he gets a call from our girl 𝙑𝙑, and when he answers, it's not her voice talking. She is screaming in terror. He's horrified by the sounds that she's making. And then on the phone comes 𝙾𝙗. Okay, that man, he annoys me so much. The gang has kidnapped our heroes, or has held them hostage, on Min's orders. Because Min put a tracker in the pearl necklace that he gave to Kwon Yoo when he first escaped, he's known where he's been staying the whole time. So he just sent the gang to her house. And now our heroes are being held hostage. They are beaten and bloodied and bruised and about to be executed. Except for 𝙑𝙑, who Min has other plans for. Min is not ready to give up on his original plan to get 𝙑𝙤 out of trouble quite yet. He is going to frame 𝙑𝙑 for the murder of the actor to try and get 𝙑𝙤 released. Now Min tells Kwon Yoo, he's like, look man, you can stay here and try and use your little USB to download all of my hard drive, but if you do that, your friends will probably be dead by then. So it's your choice. I mean, I'm just saying. You have a chance to save them. but you're not going to be able to do both. And so, of course, Kwon Yoo is gonna go and save his friends. Like, he's like, okay, forget this hard drive stuff, we'll find another way. I need to go save my friends right now. So Kwon Yoo gets back to Yeol's place where they're all being held hostage, and he cuts the lights. He like cuts out the electricity, so now it's just pitch black because it's nighttime anyway. So it's pitch black in there, and like the gang is like, what's going on? What's happening? So he goes in, he breaks this pot in the corner. That's where Yeol keeps all her rice. And he starts picking up the rice and he uses it to throw in the dark so that he can hear what it's hitting. So he hears when it's hitting a person or a gun or something else. Basically, he knows the direction of his target. Now, I guess he learned this skill in prison because he was always in solitary confinement, so his ears are very sensitive. So him throwing like, you know, dried rice at them allows him to, you know, hear where they are, and then we see him put those taekwondo skills to use, and he beats them all up. He beats them all up long enough for our heroes to be untied and escape, alright? Side note, that scene is actually like really cool. I think some people might think it's really cheesy, but I liked it. I don't know. The way it was filmed, I think is really cool. Anyway, our heroes escape the house, and now they are a part of an epic car chase scene. It's our heroes against the gangsters who are following closely behind them, against Min, who has hacked into vehicles, and so there's just like rogue cars on the road that he's controlling from his lair while he sits comfortably watching through the eyes of the CCTV footage. But our boy Kwon Yoo is a very skilled driver, apparently. Like, he's whipping it around like nothing, let me tell you. That should be his next career move. He should be like in NASCAR racing or something. Very good at it. Anyway, now as our team is, you know, driving down the road trying to escape everybody, and now cops are on their tail as well as the gangsters and rogue vehicles, the news plays footage of our hero squad kidnapping Cherry from the hospital, blowing up the van, trashing that like glove lab, and helping Kwon Yoo escape. Obviously, all this footage is leaked by Min and his bitter ass. I can't with him. The pettiness is on another level. So, of course, our hero team is now framed as terrorists. But our heroes do not give up, because they are ready to enact their final plan. So our heroes move to enact their plan, which requires them to hack into like the news broadcasting system or something like that. I don't know, I'm not very techie, but they do that. But because they have police literally chasing them through this building as they're trying to enact their plan, 2 of our team members are getting arrested, but it's okay because things are still playing out smoothly so far in our heroes' favor, okay? And Kwon Yoo drives into the middle of like these buildings, you know, civilian walkway area where the huge TV screen can be seen very easily. And he surrenders himself, okay? There's a whole helicopter spotlight on him and everything. He just gets out of the car and just stands there like this. And that is when their plan starts to play out. On the big screen appears the woman from the call center. Okay, our heroes have recruited her to be on their team, and she is reporting their news. The videos she starts showing on the screen are all from Min's Layers hard drive. So he really did think he was the smartest person in the room, and that was his downfall, because our boy Kwon Yoo stuck another flash drive in the computer where Min did not see it before he went to leave to go save his friends. So they have every piece of evidence on that hard drive. And they start by showing the actual footage of Cherry killing her boyfriend. It seems like it's footage that was taken through like the TV screen. You know, like some TVs have like cameras in them or whatever? Yeah. Well, because Min is always recording everything, he has that footage. So there's no way that she's getting off at all. You know, she's definitely getting convicted of that one. And it also shows her father at the crime scene trying to clean up her mess, like, hey Min, I need you to come and like fix this for me. My daughter murdered someone. And this is being broadcast all across Seoul. Okay. Everybody is seeing this footage. They show footage from other cases as well, you know, where there were false convictions and people are just in awe. They're like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. Like, who knew that this kind of thing was even going on? Like, this is insane. You know, people who committed these crimes who are walking free are seeing this and they're like, oh shit, like, we're screwed. And of course Min is in his office and freaking out, seeing like it's over for him. He's done for. Like, he can't get out of this. Like, his face is out there, his name is out there, they know where he is. There's no denying it now. So Min's got to get out of there, and he looks over to his secretary's desk and she's gone. She's out. She left. She's been gone and he didn't even notice. So he's like, I gotta get out of here now too. So he goes down to his car and he gets in. And the steering wheel is gone. Our hero team, they stole his steering wheel so he can't drive away. And he kind of just sits there like, they got me. As the cops pull up behind him. We see our team look at each other and smile, knowing that they have won. Victory for our heroes. Then we flash forward and we see that Min is in the maximum security prison that Kwon Yoo was also in. And he's in there and then he sees the gang who's also back in prison and he's like, oh, hey, my dog, like, hey guys, like, thinking that he has protection inside. No. They're not happy to see him, obviously. I don't know why he would think that they were. We also see the, you know, old man serial killer, and as he's walking past like the guard's office thing, the guards are watching the news and they see that, you know, Kwon Yoo has been acquitted and, you know, cleared his name, and, you know, the old man kind of stands there and he kind of smiles at him like, all right, he did good. Then we flash to our hero squad. And they are all at Kwon Yoo's house and they're sitting outside in the sunshine, eating a meal together, laughing, having fun. And Kwon Yoo kind of looks over by the window and he envisions his mom standing there smiling at him, proud to be his mom. And it's a really heartfelt moment. And that is the end of Fabricated City. But is it really? Final thoughts on Fabricated City. I didn't mention this woman much throughout the recap, but Min's secretary. So she's the one who obviously helps him out with all this shady business and stuff. And she escapes before he even realizes that she's gone, right? Like, once things start going south for them, she's gone. And we see her when she leaves, she's on the phone and she's talking to somebody. And whoever she's talking to, she's like, yeah, don't worry, like, it's not a big deal. I'll find someone to replace Min. Like, I'll find another replacement for him. And this phone call implies that Min was working for someone as well. Like, we thought that this was his operation and that he was the big bad, but there's someone above him. There's someone higher than Min. And it seems like his secretary might have even been higher than him. Because it sort of implied that she found Min to, you know, do all this business and stuff. Which means our heroes, they won the battle, but they might not have won the war. there is still someone out there pulling the strings for the elites, and it seems that this shady business will continue with or without Min. Now, this movie, I still really like it. I liked it back in the day. I like it now. It's a good movie. You can't convince me otherwise. It's fast-paced. Like, it's a 2-hour movie, but it doesn't, like, feel that long. I don't know. It's really, like, fast-paced. Like, never a dull moment. You know, it's suspenseful while still being thrilling, and like your heart feels like it's almost racing, especially during the like really intense scenes, because they play like this techno music or whatever, and it just like gets your heart pumping and you're just like, oh my gosh, like just waiting what's next, right? They also play a lot of like hero, like MCU kind of music which I also like. That's why I started calling them the Hero Squad, because I'm like, that's what they are. It gives hero energy. My ragtag team of gamers. Now, as much as I love the movie, I will say there are obviously some unrealistic things. It's a movie. For example, this did kind of bother me, I'm not gonna lie. The outrage from the public at the beginning of the movie when Kwon Yoo is first arrested, like, the outrage and then the fact that he actually did get convicted and then put in prison for life and stuff, I was just like, that feels unrealistic. Because if you know anything about you know, some of like the crime cases and stuff that go on in Korea, it's just like, they are not keeping that same energy in real life, alright? That's what I'm saying. Like, cases like this in real life are not handled this way at all, usually, and the victims in these sort of cases in real life usually don't get the justice that they deserve. So the fact that in the movie, technically Kwon Yoo gets, you know, if he was the person that actually did the crime, he does kind of get the justice that he would have deserved, like life in prison, you know, as a, I don't know how old he's supposed to be, but we'll say like 30-year-old, like, yeah, that sucks. I also love the car scenes, but again, low-key unrealistic. I'm like, how is he whipping around like this little Beetle car like that? Also, I'm just like, I know he plays video games and stuff, and it's sort of implied that because all these people play video games, they have like these, like those video game skills transfer into the real world. I don't know how true that is. I don't really play video games, so I don't know, maybe. But I'm like, the way this man is whipping around this car is crazy. Crazy. It makes for very fun car scenes though. I love the car scenes. I also really love the relationship that Kwon Yoo builds with the Hero Squad, because remember, they start off as like online friends that have never met each other in real life. They don't know what each other looks like. And so when they all come together to, you know, help Kwon Yoo clear his name, like they all kind of bond and they become like a family, and I really like that. I don't know, it's sweet. It feels sweet. And then like seeing them all like at the end of the movie, like this whole experience obviously brought them a lot closer together because they were saving each other's lives left, right, and center. And so like to see them all kind of sitting as a family enjoying a meal was just so sweet and heartwarming. I also think the idea of Fabricated City is just, I think it's kind of pretty original. It's not like the most original, but it's pretty original. I don't know. I think the scenes too where they collect the DNA and like set up these elaborate scenes to frame people and stuff is so intriguing to watch, especially when you're watching it for the first time. Your jaw is just like on the floor because you're like, how would this even happen? Like, how do people do these things? How do you get this started? How do you get involved in this sort of business in the first place? Like, it's just very intriguing, but I like criminal underworld stuff, so let's talk about the cinema? the filming of it all. I thought it was shot beautifully. Everything about it, I don't know, I really like it. I think all the scenes were very cinematically shot. I like the scene I honestly really like the scene where Kwon Yoo is like in the dark throwing the rice and like beating all these gangsters up. I thought that scene was just so fun to watch because it's like dark, but then they have them sort of like illuminated. It almost looks like bioluminescence. Like it looks like that. It's kind of cool the way they did it. I don't know. I could see some people looking at that scene and being like, that is so corny, but I liked it. That being said, the acting, 10 out of 10, okay? Fantastic acting. I mean, it's a pretty stacked cast anyway, but the acting is just so on point, and I love it. Kim Sang-ho. Kim Sang-ho, love seeing him on my screen. He plays Madok. He's hilarious. I've seen him play goofy characters. I've seen him play, more serious roles. Like, he's supposed to be a gangster in this, and I think he plays it well, in a comical way. Like, he does a good job. I don't know. And then, of course, 𝙗𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙣𝙩. Like, I've never watched anything with him in it where I was like, oh, his acting was terrible. Like, never. His acting is always a 10 out of 10. Okay. If you watch Korean cinema, then you know what I'm talking about. He plays Min, lawyer Min. He does fantastic work. I'm telling you, that man is just always good. But yeah, everybody acted really good. However, I will say, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I watched this movie, I was confused why they would put Jin Chang-wook in like the role of Kwon Yoo. I was like, why would you put Chan-wook as this like nerdy loser gamer guy? But then of course, like, he has like the background of being on the national taekwondo team and stuff, so it makes sense why he would be muscular and know how to fight and like be conventionally attractive. Like, he does very much in the beginning before he gets framed and whatever. He does give loser energy. Like, the way he's talking to his mom and stuff, and like, he just seems like the worst kind of person. But then obviously he's humbled very quickly once things get set in motion. So I will say I do think he did a really good job. Anyway, my point is, the acting is a 10 out of 10 from everyone. It's just a really good stacked cast. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this movie. I suggest you watch it. I mean, I would suggest that you watch it before you watch this, but I mean, it's still worth the watch to actually like visually see everything, hear everything. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to say. 안녕.